Tjena mitt bena, time for some work on the 240 again. Let's see where we can save some more weight. Okay, I've been looking at the car for a while now, and I made an executive decision, a bad decision probably, made a decision to remove everything that is not this plastic cover. Since this cover weighs, what was it, 1.6 kilos or whatever? And there's no function to it. This is not a, well, legally it can go on the road, but different discussion. This is not a road car, so I don't really need bumpers. This is just decoration. I don't want to remove it all in all like I did on the yellow, because that would look ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is to make two mounting points on the sides of each, on the sides of this bumper, and make it mount only to the sides, because there's already two holes and it doesn't need. Okay, so the bumper is back on the car without the inner works, all the steel and aluminum and everything. You can see here that the bolt's gone, and you can just look straight through the car. If I dive underneath the car, you see that it's just the plastic shell and no more heavy aluminum and steel brackets anymore. So the way I achieved this is by, so this bumper rests on a steel lip on the body of the car. I made one extra mounting point here, and I trimmed a little bit of on the inside of this plastic cover and just bolted it through and through, so it's now directly bolted down to the side of the car. Normally there's this bracket, and I recycled one of the holes of that, the top one, coincidentally aligned exactly with this line in the bumper, which I don't care about at all. It's form over function, no function over form, but still nice for my OCD. And on the other side, the same. Upside is that it now tucks tightly to the car, which it didn't do before. Probably wear through the wrap. I don't care, because that will be replaced before it has the chance to wear through. So now it's only the plastic cover, 1.7 kilos and 3 bolts, which I'm going to ignore. So for this change, cover is 1.7, but here's everything that's been removed from the car, and that totals to exactly 6 kilos. So 1.7 has to be on the car, and I saved 6 kilos. Okay, one thing that's less functional but more form is these holes where the fender flares are glued to the car. These holes in the other three corners, they have bolts, but they are not doing anything. But then I found these nice black ones somewhere on China Bay, and I can just with some pliers I can just cut off half, put some glue in it, like proper glue, and put them in these holes. Okay, hopefully this can withstand some rain. I'll get cracking. Bye bye. Yeah, Swedish summer. After removing the window, yeah, I had to tape it up because it's raining again. But luckily most of the work can be done inside. So let's prepare this window for some drawings. I had to take off a little bit of the original protection film to be able to see in the mirror, because I had to move the car around. Gonna take this off and gonna put some new sheets on. The sheet is just to be able to draw all the drilling holes and everything for the slider kit. After having the slider kit in the car and like a little bit positioning it where I decided to have the kit as low as possible and as far back as possible, so I will be able to reach it, the door thingy, when I'm strapped up in the seats. After figuring out the exact positioning and aligning it with the door itself, which I taped up with this orange tape, I punched some the positions of the 3 bolts that keep the slider thingy in place. And yes, you can use a transfer punch or a punch on polycarbonate. It doesn't shatter. It's such a nice material to work with. Before this project, I was kind of breaking my head on how I should make sure these 2 slider parts are very parallel, because if it's not parallel, then the sliding door will jam like halfway through or whatever, and then yeah, that wouldn't be great. But then while I was doing this, so the bottom one is already fixated here, and I decided to drill the holes for the top slider a little bit bigger. So you see me changing drills here to a bigger size, and yeah, so the bolts are M5, so 5 mm, and the holes I drilled are, let me check, I think 6 mm. So I have a half a millimeter up and down wiggle room to be able to adjust the slider parts, and yeah, that's an easy solution. So obviously you have to make sure that is as parallel as possible, but then with these little bit bigger holes, yeah, there's this adjustability that makes sure that you have a nice sliding window. So now it's time for one of the more scary parts of this project. It's not really scary, it's quite a straightforward project, but then now I'm going to make the hole in the actual window, so the slider doesn't so the slider is not purely for decorational purposes. So the manual from Plastics4performance says that it should be about 10 mil smaller than the size of the actual sliding door. So here I'm drawing the outlines and removing all the parts from the window, so I have a clean workspace. I'm using a very narrow or thin metal ruler just to make the lines of the actual hole a little bit smaller than the outside lines of the actual sliding door. A quick test fit to make sure that I didn't fuck up somewhere during the way, because like as soon as you start drilling or cutting into this window, there's no way back. After double checking everything, I start by drilling holes a little bit on the big size, like I think I used 8 or 9 mil drill bit, and I lined them in the corners. So I have a starting position for the jigsaw to start cutting, and also a nice rounded edge for the window. So it looks nice, and B, it doesn't have like a, how do you say, starting point for a tear or a break. So that's like one of the basic rules in machining or fabrication, is that you always should try to have, you never should have like 90-degree angles, like sharp corners, because the sharp corner is always a starting point for a break, for a tear, or whatever you want to call it.
as you can see, it was a good idea to drill the holes a little bit big on the top slider, because it's just a little bit too tight, and now I have the ability to adjust it, so it makes it to slide nice.
Yes, and this is the window finished. Passenger side window, at least. It is a little bit hard to see since it's so transparent, but if I make a little bit of mirroring effect, then you can probably see the window a little bit. But here it is. It slides. It's nice and it's great. But only little bit of worry I have is that this car will be outside in Swedish summer sometimes, and this is all but waterproof. So I tried some of this weather stripping, but it was a little bit too tight and a little bit, it just got folded in between the glass, and if I slide it back and forth, it just rolls. It rolls up like in a ball, and it's just 2 times of sliding and it's gone. So I'll probably try to find something better for that. But this is as far as I can go today, because Swedish summer and it's raining. It's raining badly. It's pouring, and I put some film on the window so it doesn't rain inside the car all that much. But I'm gonna wait until the rain dies down a little bit, and then I can install the window back in the car. So yeah, that's it. Okay, it started to rain a little bit less. It doesn't stop raining, but this is good enough to be outside. Install the window. Ran into one problem. It doesn't really slide much now because the window is a little bit, it's hard to see, but here is a little bit of a gap, and this bolt pulls it towards the door, so it's now a little bit curved, which was not a problem when it was just plain glass, but now the sliding sliders, they jam. So I have to make some small spacers or whatever that go in between these bolts to make sure it's as flat as possible. Okay, it stopped raining again, so I could work on the car. Machined 3 small spacers that makes the window straight. And apparently I drilled the bottom holes 5 mil, same as the size of the bolts and the nuts, and I drilled the top one 6 to have a little bit of adjustment room. And apparently I put it on the smallest, and it pinched a little bit, but now it slides, and I made it just that it slides a little bit hard, so it doesn't slide back when you accelerate. So I can do a little bit of adjustment, but now it works, so I can go to like McDonald's and say, give me food, or whatever. So
there is one thing on the other window that I would like to show. It's this. It's always so satisfying. And after installing the driver's side too, we can see the final result. So all the windows in the 4 doors are now changed or replaced with polycarbonate versions, and both front doors have a slider kit.
I just had a quick drive with the new windows and everything installed, the door panels in place, and the horn finished. Oh, well, if I turn the ignition on, then I can beep again, which is nice. Car behaves really great. It's fast with the lightness, so that's great. But I did one acceleration pull, and then all of a sudden, like the oil temperature was like all the way over here, over 120 degrees Celsius, and the oil pressure was like this, like below 0, and I was like, what's happening? But apparently in this pool, the ground cable of all these 3 gauges got disconnected. So I quickly fix it with some tape, and it's working now again. I have to make a proper solution, obviously, but great run. I'm happy, and also the drink is really nice to have. It's just within reach and really nice. I have to do something about cooling, by the way, some air scoop or whatever. But I found out that like just outside the window, because of like this edge, there is really no wind flow, so the wind flows over the outside of the window like this much. So I need to come up with something clever, like maybe a scoop over there that scoops. I don't know. We'll figure something out.